Everybody loves book hauls. I know I like watching them, so today I'm here to share with you guys my January book haul. Hello everyone, it is Samantha and I hope you guys are having a great day today and a good start to your week. It is the beginning of February, so of course that means everybody's doing their wrap-up videos and hauls and things like that for the month of January. And for me, it's no different on my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys all of the books that I acquired in the month of January, which was quite a bit. So I am quite excited about a lot of them, and I've actually read about half of them, so that's not too bad either. So without further ado, let us jump into this January book haul. The first book that I received in January was actually from my friend Jordy. He sent me a little Christmas package, and in that package was this book. This is a Tolkien dictionary by David Day, and it's full of a bunch of different terms and different things from those Middle-earth, from the Lord of the Rings and the Silmarillion, and basically the whole history of Middle-earth. It kind of gives descriptions of various places and people and just everything that has to do with Middle-earth whatsoever, including the super cool map at the front of the book. And it's this flexi-bound, which I love flexi-bound, and I was just very, very excited about this. Last year he sent me a Tolkien atlas, which was fantastic, so I was very, very excited to receive this. So thank you, Jordy. As everybody knows, I love Tolkien, and this was just a wonderful addition to my collection. The next book that I picked up in January was Passenger by Alexandra Bracken. This, of course, was quite a popular book last year, but I hadn't read it. But I was going to be getting Wayfarer from the publisher, and so I needed to read this one, and I was pleasantly surprised. I enjoyed this series a lot more than I thought I was going to. I actually did a full review and discussion on it, which I'll link down below. But needless to say, I really enjoyed this series. Both of these books, this duology as well as Wayfarer, which I did end up receiving from the publisher. It was just a really, really fun series. It is all about time travel and has a little bit of romance and deals a lot with history and just different aspects. Plus, they were full of a lot of diversity. There was LGBTQ characters, there was an African American character, and it dealt with privilege, and it was just a lot of fun and kind of a really great adventure. I always like time travel stuff because of Doctor Who, and this series was just a lot of fun. Plus, I have to say the naked hardbacks in these books are gorgeous. Like, look at that. That's on Passenger, that beautiful silver tree. And then on Wayfarer, we have this little ship. So I love it when publishers do that and they add art not only to the cover itself, but also to the naked hardback. I think it's just pretty cool. The next book that I picked up was, in fact, a coloring book, and I got Romantic Country, a fantasy coloring book by Eiry. I've seen this one a lot on the different coloring Instagrams that I follow, and I love, love, love the pictures in this, so I knew I wanted to get it. There's actually 3 of them now. This is the first one. I have a ton of coloring books, so I may hold out on getting the others, but I really, really like this one and I wanted to get it. And so it has a whole bunch of different scenes. There's scenes with a castle and a village and inside the little shops, and then there's even some holiday ones. There's like Christmas, Easter, and Halloween, which I'm trying to find. Like, here's one of the little shops right here. There's even a bookstore page. And then on this side is the Easter one. And so it has a bunch of different scenes, and then the back, it kind of gives you a whole description of each page, and like this, it's like she created an entire land and these pictures make up that land. So they're broken up into chapters. So like chapter 1 is all about the village, and she gives detailed artist on what each place means, like who owns the castle and what different shops are in the village and the history of the place and things like that. So I thought that was pretty cool as well, and the pictures are just very whimsical, and I'm definitely going to be starting on this one this week, and I'm very excited to do so. The next book I actually received from my January BooklyBox, and that is Freaks, a novel by Amanda Hawking. This seems like it'll be a pretty interesting book. It's all about a circus and this girl who has been working and living with this traveling circus because her family's a part of it since she was a child, and she's kind of always longed for kind of a normal life. But things start to take a little sinister turn when they arrive at this small town, and there seems to be this dark entity that is haunting not only the town, but soon the people that are a part of her own carnival, and she has to kind of figure out why and who this is and how she can stop it. So it sounds like it'd be a pretty interesting book. It's a standalone, which there's not too many fantasy standalones. That's pretty cool, and it's also not very big, so I'm anticipating enjoying it. It looks like it might be a fun one to read. And then the naked hardback on this one is just black with some silver, so pretty simple, but sometimes simple is pretty cool as well. But it seemed like an interesting book, not a book that I would typically get for myself, so it's always kind of fun to get books that are kind of outside your normal genre and subgenre of reading, so I'm excited to see what this one will be all about. So this month I also made a couple of trips to Powell's and I picked up some books I've been wanting and one book series that just seemed really curious I hadn't heard anything about, and I decided to pick it up and have been loving. So that first series is a trilogy. It's called the Quickening Trilogy by Fiona McIntosh. The first book is Myrren's Gift. Book 2 is Blood and Memory, and then book 3 is Bridge of Souls, and I have actually already finished Myrren's Gift and have started on book 2, but suffice it to say I'm really loving this trilogy so far. I'm going to have a review up for this one soon, but I'm really liking it. It's definitely traditional fantasy, and there's some romance in it and a lot of twists and turns and battles and a lot of epic great characters, and the plot's pretty fun, so I've really been enjoying it and I cannot wait to see how the series progresses. This is a new to me author. I just saw it on the shelf and I decided to pick it up on a whim because all of these books were used. They're really cheap. They're like $4.95, so that's pretty cool. And it was the UK covers, which is pretty great because you don't typically see a lot of those in the US shops, so I felt pretty happy about these purchases. I got the whole trilogy for like 10 bucks. That's not bad, and I'm loving it so far too. The next book I picked up at Powell's was another one that was used. I got a pretty good deal on it, and it's one I've been wanting to read for a while, and that is The Barrow by Smylie. That seemed like a pretty fun book. It's kind of all about this band of thieves and ruffians, and they're setting out to find this legendary sword. They found a map that they think will lead them to the treasure, and so I've been wanting to read this for a while. It's been on my radar for a year or two, and it's always seemed like it might be a good one to read and check out, and I saw it there and I'm like, fine, might as well pick it up. So I did, and I'm excited to get to it. I'm hoping that will either be this month or in March, but we shall see. And the last book I picked up at Powell's, which is also used, I got a good deal on. I love finding good deals, I have to admit. It's a series that has been on my list for years. It's like classic fantasy, a very well-known fantasy series, and that is the first volume in the Belgariad series by David Eddings. So it includes Pawn of Prophecy, Queen of Sorcery, and Magician's Gambit. I've heard it's a pretty fantastic series, pretty underrated, even though it is a little well-known. Not a lot of people read it anymore. It was written in the 80s, and I really like 80s classic fantasy. It's kind of what I grew up reading, and it's something that I really enjoy, but I've never checked out the series, which is amazing to me. Like, I've literally known about this series since I was in middle school, and for whatever reason, I just never got around to it because, you know, too many books, too little time. So I finally picked it up. The first volume, it has the first 3 books in it, and I figured that would be a good place to start. The next 2 books I picked up were actually ebooks. The first of those was Tremor, Forgery by Patrica Highsmith. This is actually my work book club's pick. It is kind of like a mystery book. It was written in the 60s, and it takes place in the Middle East, and our January book, and I didn't end up finishing it in time, and I probably won't finish it at all because I really was not a fan of this book. I just was not into it. I hated the main character and his perspective. I gathered what was going to be happening in the plot from our discussion at the book club meeting, so I don't think I'll be continuing on with it. So yes, sadly I did not end up liking this one and probably wouldn't recommend it, but it's also not my typical genre, so that might have been playing in there too. I don't typically read a lot of mystery literary fiction type books, but yeah, it just was not for me. And then the last ebook that I picked up was actually This Book is Full of Spiders, which is book 2, and John dies at the end. This is another book club book for my work book club that they picked, and I bought it on Kindle because I hate spiders and the cover is creepy, and I refused to buy a physical copy of this book and have to stare at it. So I got it on my Kindle, problem solved. I never have to look at the cover again. I haven't started it yet. I'm hoping I will enjoy it. I hear that you can actually read this one without reading the first book. Hopefully that will be true because I don't have time to read the first book. But I am definitely hoping to get to this one. I hear his writing's pretty humorous. It's kind of like comedy horror. So hopefully it'll be good and not super creepy because I bloody hate spiders. So crossing my fingers, I will not be just cringing the whole time I'm reading it. All right, guys, that's it for my January book haul. You'll have to let me know if you've read any of these books, what your thoughts are on them, or anything you want to throw down in the comments. Please feel free to do so. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. Until next time, happy reading. Bye.